The star of this video is going to be this Vermeer LS200 log splitter, wood splitter. She's old, probably mid 70s, I would assume, by the build type. A little rudimentary, but also super overbuilt, like really bad. Like that's my finger and it's wider than that, just the back plate there. So as you can see, it's as straight as an arrow. You're not going to bend this kind. Anyway, what does it have? What does it not? I bought it as is. Supposedly electrical issues, can't start the engine, don't know. Bent up coupler. One safety chain, no hook. No 4-flat wiring, nor 7 or 6 or whatever. We rather have Romex. Yes, building wire. Oh, that'll work. We got that going back there. Let me bring it around. Goes back here to some other splices. Cuts into 2. Goes here to some other splices. To that light that's broke, to that light that's broke. That's what we got for that. As far as the engine, classic Kohler cast iron 12 horse K301, I think it is, or 321 is this? K301 of the era. Got the throttle there, choke there, coil type, direct coupled to a pump. The muffler is completely pooched. They got good vibration isolators there. It looks like they used some matting or something to probably prevent that thing from rolling around. And they say, he pointed to this and said there's something wrong with this. Well, all this is just a starter button and a kill switch. So I can guarantee you we'll be able to solve whatever's wrong there. But I don't know really the condition of the engine in real terms. Luckily, the way it sits and the way it was sitting is on an angle because it has no trailer jack, long gone. So it's sitting in the downward position. So hopefully any water would have been running not into the engine, which could be our savior because it was sitting outside probably since new. Unknown if he kept it inside ever, but it was outside when I saw it. Big old car battery there, truck size, whatever. Hydraulic tank looks to be in good condition. What's amazing is I don't see like any seeping of hydraulic fluid. Like I'm almost scared. Like none, like no dirt lines underneath everything leaking, seeping. No. So that's a pleasant surprise. I didn't check anything about the wheel bearing. Didn't really check anything yet. Just to give you an idea, like how thick that is. Like that's ridiculous. Way overbuilt, which is what I love. And it hasn't been used in a while. She's rusty. I requested information from the Vermeer dealers because this one only has a serial number and all the new stuff comes with a VIN number, and I don't have a VIN number, and it won't let you look through their site without registering your equipment with the VIN number. So I have an email into them saying, can you help me? And I got to check my emails then. Looks like it used to have a reflector, another reflector there, so probably those should be there. Other than that, it looks like it's all here. I just don't know anything about why they stopped using it, if it really was an electrical issue or something worse with the engine there, so, or pump, or who knows what it could be. Let's go through it together. All right, I see that the throttle here is completely, I only checked the choke earlier. Throttle is completely seized. So in order to get anything out of it, and it does have some old gas in it, so that's probably not going to work out well for us. I got it to move a hair. That's usually a good sign. But not by itself. Oh, there it goes. I felt it. Lubrication got in somewhere it needed to get. Anyway, I'll just keep doing that till I get it free. Looks like the top is coming free good, but it's still not returning by itself, which it has to. When the engine gets going, it'll want to, but I want to get the carburetor open because I can get the top of that shaft where it goes through, but the bottom is also a point that needs to spin. The bottom goes through the bottom of the carb of that shaft. Carburetor or air filter is looking pretty raunchy. I'm spraying some lubricant right in there on that shaft, which hopefully will run down. You know what else? Gravity right now is pulling this rod just a hair more than it normally would. So let's assume when the engine is able to do that, it is no longer sticking. It is just able to move freely. Let's assume that's going to be okay. Here. Right, the throttle. Sure, works fine. It was at idle. So of course it's going to want to fight back. I'm going to leave that about half throttle maybe. Okay, and now we got a little oil in there, which is probably good for the cylinders. Probably something it could use. Like I say, we got old gas, unknown how good it is. We have a fuel pump on this one. Down here, a little diaphragm fuel pump there. Shouldn't take much to get it to pump if it's working. Okay, so here's what I've got here. I've got a wire that goes to no man's land that would have been hot from the battery. This is hot going in, that's going out to the starter. I've got a fuse holder, looks like the old glass style fuse is probably in there. Maybe that's what was attached to there, yeah. And then a broken off terminal from this side of the switch. So yeah, if this went bad, if that fuse terminal broke off of there, that would have broken it. And or this one breaking off the back of that switch. Possibly this is a 2-pole switch. I'm not quite sure because this wire goes over to that side of the switch. So why would this one have also? A couple of unknowns for right now. But for sure, there should be a fuse from here going to this one that is not there. So let's get a modern fuse holder for this, not these old glass fuses, and start with that. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do about this switch and what we think that goes to. So let's start with the basics on this unit. I want to start with this. If I back you off enough, can I get you where I need to get you? Not really. Okay, I want to start with how many ohms of resistance in this ground wire. Is the ground wire good? 0.1. That's good. Ground wire is good from point to point. Let's do the same on the, I'm just, questioning like the condition of these wires. Gonna be hard to get a connection over here, but let's try. She's rusty. 0.1 ohms. Positive wire is good from here to here. Okay. So anyway, why would this have two powers? It looks like the red one was put on later by someone because it's different than the other wires, which are painted. That may not be the case, but if it is, the fuse makes sense going to somewhere. Or was the red one bypassing that or whatever? I don't know. But we would think that one of these wires should come and charge this battery. And the other wire is probably giving power out to the coil over there. Because it's got a regular coil, not a magneto. So I guess we'll check at the magneto and see if we have power from one of these wires from the switch, if that is the magneto, in which case we would just give it 12 volts. So I will get hooked up here and on the coil. Let me try to get a good connection at the coil there. These are rusty too, so everything's going to be a challenge here. Let me do beep continuity. Doesn't seem to be that one. How about the loose one? Yes. Yes. Okay. That's coil. And then the other one would most likely be to charge the battery. Okay. That was easier than I thought. So to think further on that, power to one bottom terminal, red wire, power to the other bottom. Doesn't matter which one's which. They both get power when the switch is on. Or does it kill one? No, it couldn't kill one. It couldn't put it to ground. So it must be just power to one, power to the other. Power to the coil. Right, if you killed power to the coil, that would kill the engine. You don't short this to ground. Sure. Let's just see if we can verify that. I assume these just go top and bottom. Continuity. Off, no continuity, right? And let me try to go where I think that one might have been connected once. Continuity. Right. So it's a 2-pole switch. It just breaks the contact. They're both normally open. Well, depending on which side you have it on. One is connected, one is disconnected. That's all we're doing. All right, let me do this. I'm going to hook up the booster pack all the way out here. All right, no fires yet. I'm going to see, will this turn over? No, it will not. That starter switch is bad for starters. That rhymes. Now I'm jumping the other side of the solenoid there. Dead short. Let's try straight to the starter. Nope, that starter's stuck. Let's see if that wire wants to crack loose for us. Get that out of our face. And now, oh, wait a minute. I could just do the little one. Or no. Is that a whole bracket? No, that's okay. That'll do it. Is it that size? Yes. And a couple of big boys in there going horizontal. And they're probably more than 9/16 variety. Can I even get at this one? Wow. They've been in there a long time. Oh boy, oh boy. Wow. Let's see what's wrong with this. Oh, it turns. I didn't expect it to turn. Well, let's give it another boost with the battery and see if it will run. Maybe the motor is that stuck, and this was able to turn, but when it was on the motor, it just wasn't turning. I didn't think about that part. Let's see what we have. Sure, that thing runs fine. Whoa. Well, let's not do that again. It runs. So maybe it's that engine that didn't want to turn. Starter seems fine. Let me try to rotate. No. It rotates. It starts to. I don't know. I guess I better just make sure this goes all the way around. Well, seems okay to me. Maybe it was just stuck, and once I moved it a little bit, she wanted to go. I'm up against compression there. She's bouncing a little bit. Strange. Back on with the starter then. Starter's back on. Let's see if it wants to start now. I'm going to use the cable to arc over here instead of arc at the starter. Got to put it on boost. Now we got something. Oh, she sounds good, folks. I hear a nice thumping, rhythmic thumping, as if the engine was intact. Now let's hook up what we think for power positive for running it and to let the battery charge. Really just running it is what I want to do for today, so I won't worry about the battery charge cable. Now here's the goal. I've got to hold power. I've got to give power to this all the time to give ignition, but I've got to hold power on that just temporary while it's cranking. I don't know how this is going to work. Let me give it some starting fluid. I assume this probably has points. It definitely has a condenser here. All that could be bad, but we can rule all that out if we can just get it to run. Oh, and I didn't even have it on choke, which probably isn't good. Not even a pop. Okay, I guess we start by checking for ignition power then. We could easily not have it by my connections here or there or any kind of ignition issue we might have. That you zoomed way in there. Let's see if we have anything. I'm gonna move these wires a little bit. My really excellent connections down here. See if we get anything else. Nah, we got no ignition power. I attached this spark, the power that goes to the coil. Let's see what we get. Yeah, we're getting about 12 volts there, 11.3. So the other one would be the one on the breaker. So on this negative, I got one that goes right to this condenser and the one that goes to the breaker points. So I should see intermittent. It'll be hard to tell on a digital meter, but I should see the auto ranging thing flying up and down if those are opening. And I'll have to do that while cranking, which will be a little challenging because I got a lot of, there we go. I got that one stuck in there. I got the other one on the ground. Let me see if I can crank. Just for fun, I want to do one little quick test. And by the way, that's very corroded in there. And the top of the plug was too. So it's been sitting a while. I just want to check the compression just to see if we have a sticking valve or anything. Just because it's easy and it's external. Well, don't drop your plug. I can drop mine though.
Why would you lock the door?
And that's weird. It uses the one plug, but the O-ring doesn't go in there. So we might not get a true full reading, but let's just see where we're at on compression. I see at least 90. And for an engine that I just put some starting fluid in, which usually washes down the rings, I don't think that's too bad. Okay, just wanted to check. Yeah, I just did one. I took that extension piece off. I didn't realize that you didn't need that. That it has another size. That's a short one too. Got above 90 that time. Got 100. Yeah, 90 or 100. So close enough for me. Okay, good. Off camera, I took apart the point cover again, and I flicked them a little bit with the power on, and I could see the spark then. So I realized they were probably just dirty. So I cleaned them up. We have spark. I started it up. It'll run on starting fluid only. So we got a problem in the carb, or the fuel they had is just bad, or both. So let's drain that out and get into the carb. Let's dig into this carburetor. I already took out two. And these, when you put them back in, you better make sure they're tight, because they are small enough that they could possibly get sucked into your intake. And nothing good will come of that. I love that style linkage. Doesn't need that little spring like the Briggs, and makes a wonderful connection. Let me get the fuel line off next, and then we'll go for the fastening bolts. I just want to take the carbs right off of there, because it's not running right, and I got to drain the fuel anyway out of the tank, but to get it all out of the bowl is just about impossible. So let us do it the right way. And I don't like these kind of clamps anymore. I will put the more modern spring clamps. Mine happen to be green, because these, well, it's actually grabbing better than I thought. Didn't expect that to be pliable at all. This carb's been off before. I can see sealant there. Not that that's a problem, but it's a fact. Get some wrenches. I'm going to just go with the open end from the outside. I think that's going to be the easiest way. These seem fairly tight. What size are you? Not that size. So it's going to be 1/2 inch. There they come. These, I think you kind of got to walk them in with the carburetor. I don't think there's any way to take them all the way out. You only have to take one all the way out, because the carburetor ears are open on both ends. So I'll probably just go with this one to take out more than the other, because it seems more accessible not being behind this coil. Boring. Bring you back when I get it. So I got that bolt still in there. I'll have to clean up all this gasket maker sealant. What I meant by the ears being open, see how they're open on the ends? So you slip it over one, and then you take the other one and walk it in. Now I can take it out to clean up that surface to scrape it. But next thing is we'll open up that carb and see if it's anything to look at, or if it's been sitting forever. Not half inch. Ooh, I can smell it. I can smell nasty gas already. Look at that. It doesn't even evaporate. Some of that could be the oil that I put in. I'll give you that. Oh. Oh. Oh, she's green, folks. Real green. Ooh, look at the buildup. Ooh, she's gummy. Yeah, we're not getting anything through that. Needs a full cleanup. Let's first get that float off. Man, that's been sitting for a long time. That green is probably from brass corroding. It's been sitting for longer than I had anticipated that it was. Yeah, there's some goo on there even. It's sticky. But the top part doesn't look bad. But then, yeah, the needle's stuck. Everything. Okay. It needs the whole kit and caboodle. Whew. That's looking bad. Every part that can move looks terrible. Do I dare try for the emulsion tube and the needle here? The jet? Yeah. Anyway, I gotta take that all apart. I gotta get that needle out. I gotta get that jet out, because she's gummy. Okay, so I cleaned up the flange. I have decided, because I need that gasket, bowl gasket, carburetor issues, we're going aftermarket. If you are looking up yours, if you happen to have the same K301, 90% of the carburetors on the internet did not have this proper ball top. Just FYI, if you're purchasing it, there was only a few. They all say they're the right ones. Only a few have that, and I don't know how you would rivet that in there. You would have to change that entire shaft, hoping that it was the right length and diameter for the, you have to pull this one out, hoping it's the right diameter and length for the replica carburetor. So just FYI, it may not fit for you if you order just the wrong one. The one I ordered, at least in the picture, shows the one with the linkage, and they even gave you the little piece here. So that's what we're going with. Always waiting on parts, I am. All right, just so I can rebuild all this, clip this, and now I can get a new switch put in there and new toggle switch, get that all unbent and put it back in whole. So I've got this starter switch. What I'm finding is these are about 60 bucks. There's a couple of new old stock ones online. But basically, I'm sure what all it is two pads, probably copper, that come up and hit two other pads. I'm seeing one thing. There's a lot of rust around here, which could be conducting shorting to ground for one thing. And the other thing would be, I don't think there's much to these, and it looks like it's two pieces. There's two tabs there, two tabs there. If I can bend those tabs back, can I open this up, clean those contacts? The ones I'm seeing online, the aftermarket replacement ones, are more of an inline switch, and they're rated at 50 amps. I don't know what this one was rated at. It's not marked, which is weird. For the time, they would have marked stuff. But the wires that go on it, the lugs are much, much smaller, telling me they're probably only good for 20 amps, even though they say 50. What I'm saying is maybe this one's better than anything you're going to get today, at least for the cheap replacement ones. And I don't feel like spending $60 when I could just put a regular solenoid like we would do today on it, and make it work. So before we buy anything, I'm just going to see if I can open this up by prying these open. And can we clean up what we have here? All right, we're in. I got those tabs bent up there. Let's just make sure springs or something doesn't come flying out. Oh, yeah. All it is pure copper. There's nothing going to go bad on there. We just got to scrape that clean. Same thing here. Just a little arcing. Clean that up. Should be good as new. And all the spring part is down here. So, okay. So glad I opened that up, because I think this is better than what we could find today. And also, it fits right in the panel that I have, which is kind of nice. So I got this cleaned up quick enough. That was just easy with the emery cloth. And then I'm just taking emery cloth. These are just solid pads of copper that are soldered on there. And I'm just kind of sanding it down. Bring you back when we get there. All right, got them cleaned up pretty good. I don't want to use any grease on there or anything. Dielectric grease makes no connection, not good connection, and grease just creates potential for trapping moisture. So I'm going to put this, the heavily corroded side was the same side as the heavily corroded side there. So I'm just going to put it back the same way. It doesn't matter which way you go. Crimp those over, and I'll check for continuity. Let's first check for continuity. Then I want to make sure we're not shorting out through that rust, that I have to de-rust this really well. Let me get my leads on there in a way that they might stay while I try to do this test. Okay, making sure. First couple tries didn't do it, but let's just check. Yeah. Perfect. But what I want to check for is if we have any power getting to ground, in which case I'll have to soak this maybe and get some of that rust off there. So if I have a connection, we'll see how much ohms. And we do have a small amount of leakage. Let me just check this one. Yeah, that's not good. We got current leak in the ground, probably through the rust. Not good. It's one of those things where you put a battery on it and you wonder, why is it drawing power? Yeah, should not have a connection there. Okay, more work required. I got around there a little bit with the wire brush, but the real stuff I'm going to use, Deoxit. You'll see a link in the description. This is removes oxidation, improves connection, seals and protects. 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% I just think the sides of those, and those aren't washers, by the way, those are the insulators that pin goes through. And I really don't want to take all that apart because it seems like it's probably going through both sides. I don't want to mess around with it because I'm just going to break it. So I'm hoping by just removing the outside corrosion, and maybe there's some from the inside touching something metal, is what I'm thinking. So I'll just clean that up, bring it back. All right, maybe I'm worrying too much. I want to verify. So I got this thing hooked up to amps. So if when I connect the power, I got the ground, this is grounded. So when I connect the power lead to the pin, if I get anything, that means I got current loss. So I'm going to connect, I'm going through my meter, of course, to see. No, even though it's testing like it's connected, it's such a high number of mega ohms or whatever it is. There's really no current leakage here through that. So we're fine. Rebuilt. Let's go. All right, got that reasonably straight. It was straight before I bolted that thing in anyway. Put some new stainless washers there, and I'm going to leave everything loose until I get all my cables and everything. Parts on the way, double pole switch. I went with a single pole switch because both of them turn on and off at the same time and they both get the same power, so there's no reason to have them separated. Got you out here with the splitter project. First thing I'm going to do is get this blown out muffler out of here. She's pooched. And hopefully replace it with this. Now, it's been on there a lot of years, probably the original, and I don't expect to have a very easy time taking it off. I already picked off what I thought was a spot weld. It turned out to be not. But even this, the nut isn't on there, and that pipe never backed out, so that tells you that it's probably rusted in place. Normally, I like to try to get a machine running first, then work on the ancillary stuff. But because this is going to get hot when I do try to put the carburetor and stuff, we're doing this first because then we don't have to deal with the heat. So I'm going to try a couple different ideas about how to grab something that large, which is larger than a pipe wrench would typically be. It's several inches. So let's get into that. So let's face it, a regular pipe wrench of that size, I don't even know if I have one that big. It's pretty big. I've never needed to turn the pipe that big. Channel locks aren't going to really get around there. I've tried some ideas with wrapping a bungee strap. I think you could put something in there and try to turn that. Not sure if that's going to work. I'm going to try this because this is welded directly into the pipe. I'm going to try getting a socket the exact size, hammering that in there, see if I can wedge that enough that I could just use an impact to drive it off. Let's try that first, and if not, plan B, C, D, whatever it takes. I've got a 1 1/16" socket, which seems to be doesn't seem to be really tight in there. But let's just see what it takes. Nope, that just spins right out. Guy could dream, can't he? Well, I'm bending the muffler quite a bit. Thought it was moving there for a minute. Maybe wishful thinking. If it's not working, just keep doing it till something else fails. That's my motto. Yeah, I've got it kind of mushroomed around the outside here. I may just end up cutting that off the threads, because what I really don't want to happen is the threads that are on the motor to start moving, because then we'll never get it out of the muffler part. I'm going to use this oscillator tool to try to just cut the metal. We'll just cut it, rip it, get it off the threads, and then we'll probably have to cut it again, the piece that's on the threads, if it doesn't let go by itself. And that is not cutting well. Sawzall? Question, exclamation point. Oh, bent it. We've all done it. Come on. That cut through it. Just had to straighten my blade. One piece at a time. She's turning, folks. Not by hand yet, though. Now? Now. Can't argue with the results, but the process looked a little haphazard, didn't it? Ooh. Boy, it's going to be hard to tighten that thing without damaging something. I think that's how we're going to tighten it unless something else goes bad. I don't want to put a bunch of wrench marks on that and collapse it in. I'll just crush it. Our friend, the Chinese carburetor. I'm using the top of that if anybody's wondering. There's two sides. Just getting out any boogers and rust. What do we have? So this particular model comes with the piece we need, which is I don't know what you call that. The one where it goes onto the ball. Comes with the new fuel inlet, and of course the gaskets, which it should. Oh, actually, it's got the thing on there already, so that's good. I think I mentioned in a previous part of the video when I was looking this up, almost all of these did not come with this. So you would have had to take the one off your old carburetor, hope the shaft and the length and everything is the same, and the spacing to the screws and everything, because it did not come with this. Well, how would you put the ball on if you needed the one with the ball? How would you put that on? It was not the proper part. Fair warning for anyone that does it. This one came with two different choke shafts. Whichever choke shaft works is the one I'm going to use. Let's look at the original carburetor. Don't try to outsmart the original folks that put it together, because they could put any one they wanted on it. And for example, this one was choke up, or choke down, lever up, and we can see this one is the opposite. So you may or may not be able to, with the air filter on there, even activate that. So we will probably be changing the position of that, because that's why they gave you the two choke shafts, because it fits multiple applications. Always skeptical anytime I get new parts. So I see fuel thing facing the right way. Yes, fuel hole there. When this is all the way over, yeah, that's about the same position. The balls look about the same size. The adjustments are there. Okay. This side, like I say, the difference I see is this choke shaft and this choke shaft are completely reversed. So in order to make them clear this air filter on this machine, we're probably going to have to change that. So everything else looks good. I'm just going to get these screws out of the way while we're playing around. Again, when you go to tighten these screws on the final, tighten them well, as these could get sucked into your engine because they are after the filter. Kind of a poor design that we wouldn't do today, but it's from 1975, so what do we want from them? They didn't have the engineering prowess we have today. Wink, wink, and I'm semi-kidding. Some of the stuff they did better, some of the stuff they did not, is what I'm trying to say there. Taking out the little screws on the choke shaft here. And mine is a little angle, so I gotta watch. Yep, stuff like that falls, which is not good. Okay, we'll just leave it down there so we know where it's gonna be collected. Really did. Both detent ball locations are on the left. Both of those are facing up. So the one they put in the carb and the one they gave you as the other one isn't the other one, it's the same one. That's hilarious. Now we better hope that this one works, or that these clear as is, because that's all I have. What I'm using here is the bit type bits. Sometimes these are real sharp and good. This one happens to be a flathead screw. Sometimes those really bite in there nice. These are going to take a little force to get out, because usually what they do is they bugger up the back end of them so they never back out for you. They put them through, then they bugger it up. I'm just hoping that this rod is the same diameter and everything. I can't believe they gave me two of the same shaft. That's hilarious. And why didn't I notice that originally? And this screw just broke clean off, so yeah. Great. Now I have a screw broken off in the shaft that I need to use. Not cool. Let's see. Will it come out with that screw in it? Yeah. And of course, the back is so short, can't get it. Front is so short, can't get it. Not cool. Okay, here's what I'm up to. So what I noticed is on the original and the other one, there's like an oval shape that corresponds with the keying on this. So the oval is the same plane as this, if that makes any sense at all. If I break this, so how they've put this together is they've put this on the shaft and then they've mushroomed the shaft over by peening it. I need to make what the one I have exactly reversed. So because I have two, I don't mind experimenting. And these are made just the same way. You can see it's been peened over. They put it on there and then they peen it over. So what I'm going to do is I've already pried it off of there on mine. Mutilated this part a little bit, but we can straighten that back out. I'm going to turn it 180 degrees, put it back on, and peen it again. All right, check it out. I got the ball back in the little hole, put the shaft back in. I got my things. So now the detent works. It's supposed to, that thing is supposed to fall in the hole. Bink. You hear that? Let me put my microphone up. So that means the ball is falling in the hole properly and it's going to hold it open without it rattling for you. And the way I did mine was, there's not really a procedure because it's the wrong part. But to get mine working today, I pried mine off the old shaft, ground the shaft a little bit, put it back, rotated it 180, put it back on, and then soldered to fill all the gaps. And because I couldn't get it to peen over, because if I tried holding this end with something of the shaft and banging on it, it would just bend in the middle. It would not peen over. So I just heated it up a little bit, put a blob of solder on there, and she'll work just fine. All right, I'm just threading up that thing there. Depends on your preference. If you like nothing on the threads, if you like Teflon tape, if you like only pipe dope, if you like both, you do you. We're looking good here. I got a relatively straightforward reinstallation here, and the reason is because we have our choke right here, no cable needed, and only have the throttle, which is already dangling. We got our gasket. That material is already cleaned up from last time. We're going to put this bolt in pretty far because it's obstructed. Slide the carb in. Then put our bolt, start our bolt here while we still got some room to play. Kind of got to leave it back a little bit and walk it in to get the bolt put in there because it's quite long to start with. That's as far as we can go with the screwdriver. That's as tight as I'm going. It fits. Doesn't even come off. All right. Won't be needing that anymore. In theory, they should have sent me a gasket, and yeah, it could probably get some unfiltered air back there, yada, yada, yada. I did not live in an area with sand and dust from sand, abrasive particles. Very unlikely this thing would ever be run in that environment. But if you did, you better seal every last thing. I'm going to get a bigger screwdriver to go tighten these with, because I want to get a good grip. And there it is. I wanted the real big one, but I can't see that right now. I want to get a full purchase on the flats. Yep. Cool. Let's make sure that choke closes all the way. Yes, with the cover still on. Good. All right. I personally don't oil those pre-filters, but you can. Okay, so off camera, I have ordered a bunch of parts. I have received